What's up, everybody? This is Ben, and today I am super excited, as usual, for two reasons today. Four, depending on how you count. First is my light bright's working. I'm super excited about that. Second through four is I have 3 new sound packs to share, and I'm super excited about them. This is the first one. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we'll have all 3 of them out and available to you. I'm done with the write-up. You can sort of see here, and I will give a quick preview of the other 2 at the end of this video. But today, we're doing West Coast synthesis. Now, if you haven't seen my sound packs before, they're free. You can get them on you can get them on Facebook in the Facebook group, or you can get them on my Patreon page for like $1. I'll put the links in the description below, or you can just email me at bencomusic@gmail.com, and I will just send them to you. So today, we're doing the first one of the 3, and that is West Coast synthesis. So that said, let's get into it. So West Coast synthesis, if you're not familiar, sort of stands as opposed to East Coast synthesis, and these are words from America in the 60s and 70s to describe 2 different schools of thought on synthesis. So East Coast synthesis with like Bob Moog he took complicated waveforms like sawtooth and square waveforms, filtered them down, focused on the attack, decay, sustain, release, the ADSR envelope that we're all very familiar with, using that to shape sounds. Now, on the West Coast, Dave Buchla and the guys at Berkeley took a completely different approach in 2 distinct ways. One is they took simple waveforms and made them more complicated. That's the first thing. And the other thing is, instead of the ADSR, they used this low-pass gate. And the low-pass gate works pretty similar to an ADSR. It was made, I think, with like optical components, with like they would shine a light and that would change resistances, and that's really interesting and gives interesting decays. But the point is, they had no attack stage, so the transient of the sound is fairly sharp, and they decay the filter and the amplitude, like the level of the sound and the harmonics of the sound at the same time. They both decay off, and that gives sort of a more organic sort of sound, and this is really good for like smacky, slappy, clanky kind of sounds, plucky kind of sounds. It's a common technique because that's sort of how things decay in the real world. So people say it gives sort of a more organic type of feeling. So West Coast synthesis seeing a bit of a resurgence in the last couple months. We have both the Create Audio West Pest and the Moog Mavis using different elements of West Coast synthesis, and they're both sort of simplified synths to get the feel of West Coast synthesis. They run what, like 300, 350 a piece. So like I like the sound of them a lot. So with that stuff in my head, I set out to try to make the West Coast vibe kind of sounds on the MC-101. So that's what I've got today, and that's what I'm going to share with you. So to get into it, just like many of my other sound packs, we are going to all I have is a simple drum pattern here in the analog kit on track 1. But now track 2, to get into this, we're gonna start by holding down the sound button. If all 4 of these lights aren't lit up, if yours looks like this, then if you just hit all 4 buttons, then they all should be lit up, and that means all of these are controlling, all the 4 of the knobs are controlling the track that we're on. That's gonna make this a lot easier. So do that, set this up, just hit all 4 buttons at the same time until all of them are lit up. Then we're gonna hold the sound button, and we're gonna change the assign to system control 1. We're gonna hold the filter button, change it to system control 2. Hold the next button, system control 3. Hold the last button, system control 4. Simple as that. All right, now we're gonna hit sound. We don't even need to hit sound. We're already at, it says init tone. We're gonna hit the value knob, go to sound file. We are going to go to bcwestcoast.svz. And when we click it, we will have 4 different options: West Coast, sine, triangle, square, and saw. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You can sort of think of this as like the oscillator selection button on the West Pest or even the Moog Mavis. So just pick the one that you want. We're gonna start with sine to begin with. And if I hit a button, I'm not gonna hear anything. That's okay, all right? That's fine, we're good. We have 4 knobs here that are gonna control different elements of the sound. So the first thing we're gonna do is take System Control 4, our furthest knob to the right, turn that all the way up and take the other knob and turn that all the way up. And when we hit the button, we're gonna hear a little sine wave. And it's polyphonic, which is nice. Okay, so we've got our sine wave. Now, like I said, West Coast synthesis, we're taking something simple, making it more complicated. So sine is about the simplest wave you can get. So the first knob here is going to control the fat parameter on the Xenology synthesizer. So if you don't know, I make these in Xenology Pro. It's a computer program that I promise I will give some sort of demonstration on as soon as I get like a filming set up sort of with my computer. But so the fat parameter is, it squishes the waveform. It's not quite the same as wave folding, but it gives sort of a similar sound. Wave folding is a super common technique in West Coast synthesis. This is just one thing that I did to make this simple sound more complicated. So as we turn this, you can hear that gets, you're adding a lot of harmonics. I really like this sound somewhere in the middle. Now, you'll notice the decay is relatively short. Again, my favorite parts of West Coast synthesis are this like choppy, slappy sounds. So that's what's here really. If you want like a more complicated pad sound, you can check out my virtual analog pack, or you can stick around until the end and next week when we talk about the like pad thing that I made. But so for now, we have this more complicated sine wave. Now, the next knob number 2, System Control 2, is, let me check my reference sheet, is the cross mod amount. So this is basically applying FM synthesis to that sine wave with other sine waves. So you can hear that's gonna add some more buzzy harmonics, and that is present on a lot of West Coast style synthesizers. Both the, this first knob, the wave folder, the fat, whatever, and also some sort of frequency modulation to give this some extra oomph. And now you can hear, that's a pretty complicated wave just for just a sine wave. A lot of noisy elements in there, which is good. That's sort of what we want. Now, the next two knobs, System Control 3 and 4, are gonna control this low pass gate emulation that I did. And all that it is, really, is it's two envelopes routed to both the filter and the amplitude. So all that is gonna give that like real nice pluckiness that we're looking for in our West Coast synthesis. So the knob number 3 is gonna control how open the filter starts. So for example, you can hear this. That sounds like it filtered it some. And indeed, that's what it's doing. It's every time you hit the note, the filter envelope is being applied. So it's going up to the top and then dropping off. So this is just controlling how high the top is. And knob number 4 is just controlling how long the decay takes. So as long as you lower this knob, you're gonna get a pluckier, shorter sound. That gets real short, real snappy. So, yeah, that's kind of it. You can control the decay and where your filter is. And these two sort of play against each other. This is just defining like an absolute time between the top and the bottom. So if this is lower, the slope that if knob number 3 is lower, the slope of the decay will be shallower for the same setting on knob number 4. So I hope that made sense, but use your ears. If it sounds good, it sounds good. That's the only thing that matters. And this can be nice for making like basses. I really like the sound of those basses, but you can use it for leads and stuff too. Pretty neat, right? And obviously you can apply all of our, if I just hit escape a few times, you can apply all of our beautiful multi-effects to it. I personally like, if you throw on like, I like the choruses that are involved here. So, I mean, yeah, you can get really nice sounds out of it, just with a few controls. So I think, to me, that does a reasonably good job of replicating what I liked about the West Coast synths that are out on the market today. So I hope that you enjoy it, and I'm just gonna, before I move on, let's talk about the other three, right? There's 4 options there. One is sine, that's the one that we're working on. And the other ones are the same thing. I'm gonna hit escape, I'm gonna hit the value knob, I'm gonna hit sound file, gonna come on down to West Coast. The other ones are the same, but they start with different waves. Normal wave folding doesn't work great with square waves and sometimes sawtooth waves because of like how the properties of the actual circuitry works. But since I'm not using real wave folding, actually the square and sawtooth waves are my favorite ones. But let's look at the triangle quick. I'm gonna open everything all the way up so you can hear it. All the way down with our complicated things and all the way up with our filter. Triangle wave. There is, so each one actually does have 4 waves going on, I think. It's 2 or 4 waves. So that's why you're hearing a little bit of that unison phasing sort of thing. I think that always sounds better. That's why it's there. There's also a little touch of like analog feel, which just randomizes a lot of the parameters in Synology, which hopefully gives it some of that oomph that you're looking for from an analog synth. But anyway, that's turning the fat parameter up. That's turning the modulation parameter up. You notice there's not much control over the modulating wave because other synths didn't have it. I didn't have that much space for knobs here. And I thought this is like enough to give you just more oomph to the sound. So anyway, those two together. And then that's enough to get like a pretty gnarly bass sound. But even if I exit out of here and you can add just a little bit of like reverb to it. It's a decent amount of reverb to it, but then you can do a lot of really cool stuff with that. So I really like that. I'm very excited about it. So that said, real quick, let's check out the square wave. Again, all the way open on the filter, all the way down on the complicated stuff. We do have reverb applied right now. Bear that in mind. But obviously you have the MC-101 too. You can put the same reverb on. It's just the default reverb. I already really like the way that sounds, honestly. But yeah, so I like that. Sounds like real buzzy, real. I really like that one. And then the last one, sound file, West Coast, saw. Get that real thick, and yeah, that's really cool. So that's all of it. I had this one idea that I was playing with earlier that I just wanted to show you real quick. So I've got a drum beat going. Great. I am gonna switch this back to the square because I like it as a bass. Nice. So we're just gonna, actually no, I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna hit record. Let's see if it works okay. I was gonna just double it, but I wanna go to 32. Let's go again. Great. Awesome. Now, so that sounds good. You can see how you could modulate that stuff to have fun, but I just want to show you one thing I was doing before. I'm gonna give this random, I'm gonna give it a step length of 2. I'm gonna go from 0 to 127 just so it's a little more obvious. And then we're gonna map it to filter, which if you remember is the X mod amount, like the FM amount. So, and then when I hit execute, it's gonna, every 2 steps, it's gonna randomly change the value of the XM amount, or so Roland has a bunch of different words for this, but yeah, so it's the frequency modulation amount that's applied to the sound. So now when I hit execute and then I hit play, you can hear it going there a little bit. I'm gonna hit it again, see what happens. And then you can imagine that like over time, you can just set this right up, set up motion designer, saw, step length, 128, minimum value like 30 to honestly like probably 80 or 90 is enough. Destination of the mod, which is how high the filter is going, and then hit execute. Pretty cool, I think. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole pack. You know, leave a comment if that's confusing or anything. I hope that I explained it well enough. I have this sheet here. Actually, I'll hold it to this camera maybe. It's easier for me to know that I'm holding the right thing. If you take a peek at it, this is the West Coast synthesis line. It's pretty simple. I will leave this as a comment in the Facebook group. It'll be on my Patreon. This whole sheet actually will be on my Patreon. And yeah, that's everything that I've got for the virtual analog, or for the West Coast synth stuff. I'll give you a quick preview. I haven't had these packs set up completely yet, but I can give a really quick preview because I keep promising this. I'm gonna go into the sound file and we're gonna bring up, is it string? Yeah, I think it's the string test. Let's just bring this in. And I'm gonna do the same normal thing here. System control 1, system control 2, system control 3, system control 4. This is loosely based on the Waldorf-Streckfett string synthesizer. A lot of cool stuff there. And then the other thing, so we'll talk about that next time. And then the one after that, I'm pretty proud of this one, is a chord generator in this, like the same way the Model Cycles has a chord track where you can, there you go, where you can, well, that's really loud. You can pick a chord. You know what? Actually, let me bring up. I have a better one. Piano. You can hear that better, I think. and then you pick a chord. Lots of different chords. I have a cheat sheet here for what chords they are, and then inversions of the chord. Which is pretty neat. Anyway, that's coming next. Hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time, hopefully real soon. Let me know what you think. Hey.